Hi everyone, good morning and welcome to Grad School. My name is Shamosmita Mitra, and on behalf of the Purdue Graduate Student Government as well as the Office of Graduate Students and Postdoctoral Scholars, we welcome you to this morning where we'll just give you a little bit more about what your graduate student experience here could be like. I know some of you are new to Purdue, some of you are new to Indiana, and some of you are in general new to the United States. We extend a warm welcome to you all. Today's program is going to be about the resources here on campus, as well as what we have to offer to you here from Purdue to make your experience a little bit better for you and your peers around here. So today's orientation schedule looks something like we have our speakers, as well as we have our Purdue Graduate Student Government talking about what we do and what are some of the tools that you could use in your journey here. I don't know if I mentioned this. My name is Shamosmita Mitra. I am a PhD student in electrical and computer engineering, and this year I serve as the president of PGSG. So without any more adages, let's get started and introduce to you our first speaker, Dr. Haley Oliver, who is the Interim Vice Provost for Graduate Students and Postdoctoral Scholars.
Good morning, everyone. How are you? It's day one. Maybe it's a repeat if you're coming back for a PhD program. But I welcome you to Purdue University. My name is Haley Oliver, and I have the pleasure of serving as the Interim Vice Provost for Graduate Students and Postdoctoral Scholars. But I've been here for a while. I've been here for 14 years. This is my 14th fall semester. I don't know how that happened. And I can assure you your time here, it might seem slow some days, but you're going to look back and it will have gone so absolutely fast. If you're looking for me in my academic home, I'm in the College of Agriculture and in the Department of Food Science. Do I have any food science students here? I should have at least one of my own. I see a couple. Well, welcome. I do still work over there, I promise. So you'll see me in the hall every once in a while. But I think I wanted to start off with a story about myself. Today is the exact day, August 16th, that I started graduate school. And I'm going to try not to cry, because it was one of the most revolutionary experiences of my life. I'm a first-generation college student, and what that means, at least in most definitions, is that my parents didn't go to or complete college. And so I was the first in my family to do that, and then to be in your shoes today, to have the opportunity to go to graduate school was something that was never on my radar, ever. But luckily, I had a mentor, I remember right in a hallway. One of my undergraduate advisors asked if I'd thought about going to graduate school. Do you know what I said? What's graduate school? Because I didn't know. And so again, I'm glad you found your way here, and I hope you can be an advocate for those undergraduates that want to consider continuing their education and all of the doors that certainly opens. So I went from the University of Wyoming. If you're new to this country, Wyoming is a large state with not a lot of people. So my high school class had 26 graduates in it. My university only had about 10,000, and as you know, that's about how many freshmen we have here on campus. So Purdue is the largest institution that I've ever had the pleasure of being at or working at. But this picture makes me laugh and it makes me cringe every time. This is my original student ID. I can't believe I found the dang thing. But what it reminds me of was this day, an orientation, and what happened that day. I was sitting in my car, because we could kind of park on campus for a few minutes at least that day for orientation, and I was fumbling around in my car because I'm nervous. I've changed institutions, I've moved across the country. I didn't change countries, and so those of you who have done that, you are my biggest heroes. That's such a huge, huge thing, and I applaud you for taking that risk. But I moved across the country, which felt like moving across the world, at least considering where I was from. And I leaned over in my car, and I hit my eye on a 3-ring binder. And so every time I look at that, I feel kind of like a pirate. And if you zoom in and look at it, this eye is starting to swell shut. And my makeup has run down my face because I sat there for 15 minutes while it just watered. I was certain I'd punctured the thing. And I just like, I can't look. I'm not an eye person. I'm not going to be an ophthalmologist. I'm just like, it's gone. I know it's actually this eye. I'm like, oh, I think it's probably destroyed. Day one of graduate school, I've lost an eye. I'm not sure how this is going to go. Well, I eventually kind of got it pulled together, and you can see it was lovely captured in my student ID for eternity. I thought it was a good start to, well, this could be challenging. Hopefully I don't self-destruct on a 3-ring binder, however. But I got it together, and it was that first kind of mass or sea of all of these people that you get to meet and that you're going to spend a lot of time with for the next 2 to 5, or hopefully not too many more years than that, working on your master's or your PhD. And I encourage you to make friends today, because these are going to be some of the most important people that you meet in your lifetime. You're beginning to build out yet another network that will influence your career forever. So I made it through that, as you might imagine. But after 6 years or so in upstate New York, I found my way here to the middle of the country to Purdue University. So it's the fall of 2010. We've crawled kind of out of the recession. I'm a millennial. And we haven't had all of the best economic conditions for our careers. But I was so thrilled to have the opportunity to start as a faculty member here at Purdue. I didn't plan on being a faculty member. I didn't plan on going to graduate school. Shoot, I didn't know if I was going to college. So this was a very big and nervous day. So this is the biggest school I've ever been to. It might be yours. This was the biggest town. I know this is kind of embarrassing because there are several people in this room that come from cities of millions. This is the biggest town I've ever lived in. You're going to wonder where I've ever come from. I've traveled the world, luckily, through Purdue and have seen that there are larger places than this. This is a small town. You might feel like it has limitations. We are here to help you find the joy that is here, and there is plenty. So this was a big career change. I've gone from studying and being in the trenches of research and a postdoc, and then you're a faculty member, and you are now responsible for people's education. That is terrifying, I can assure you. And I was 28 that day when I walked into a classroom and thought, oh, we only have a few years between my students and I'll stay ahead of them by 6 hours. So this is my biggest responsibility, and then really a lot of questions around some self-doubt. You might have heard it called imposter syndrome, or all kinds of things of, why am I here? Can I do this? And I think with the support you'll find in this community among your students, among your faculty members and mentors, yes, you can. And even faculty members can make it from the bottom up as well. So I didn't know I was going to do any of this, as I mentioned. And what we do here at Purdue University as a land grant institution is we do research, we do teaching, and we also extend or do engagement with the community, the United States as a country, and then the world. And I've had the pleasure of being able to do all of those with the amazing support of graduate students. You're the research engine. You're a massive part of why this institution is as great as it is. And so this is how I define what goes on in a career for a faculty member. We do research, teaching, and extension. We bring in new students, we write grants, and hopefully you'll have the opportunity to write grants together. Publishing is most of our currency, whether we love it or not. I finally found joy in writing when I became a faculty member. I didn't love it as a grad student, but now helping other people write brings me tremendous joy. And then you graduate. That's the hardest part for we faculty members, just so you know, is that you come here, you spend time with us, and as I usually say, tangible percentages of a lifetime spent here, and then you leave. And then you go out and do great things, but it leaves a tiny hole in our experience here. But we're so joyous that you get to go out and do those things. So that's kind of a list of all of the things that I've had the opportunity to do. But I started out in a primary teaching appointment. So I went from doing bench research to then doing pedagogy. I was not trained to do that. But I figured it out because I'm a researcher, and what you're learning here to do as graduate students is learning how to learn and learning how to explore. And because I had those fundamental skill sets, I was able to do this career, and it's been absolutely phenomenally rewarding. I've also aged, and I just wanted to show you that picture that I used to be young and now I'm getting old, and that's okay. The takeaway from this series of pictures over my faculty career, though, is I'm still smiling, because this is a wonderful place to work. There will be hard days, there will be challenges. It's not going to always go as you expect, but on average, this is a really tremendous opportunity and a tremendous place to be. So I welcome you, and I hope you have a tremendous experience here at Purdue University, and the Office of Graduate Students and Postdoctoral Scholars is here to help. So welcome.
Thank you, Dr. Oliver. That was insightful for us getting started in our grad school journey here at Purdue. Up next, we have Dr. Zenefia Evans from the Office of the Dean of Students.
Good morning, Boilermakers. I gave you that and that's what you gave me back? Should I try it again? Yes? No? Let's try it one more time. I'm going to give it to you and you need to give it back, all right? I'm going to step back a little bit. Good morning, Boilermakers. Much better, much better, much better. We're all alert now. I am in the Office of the Dean of Students, and I have the pleasure of telling you a little bit about what we do in the space that I have. Oops, let me start my timer because I have 6 minutes. All right. So this is our fearless leader, Dr. Katie, Dean Katie, she likes to be called. We're located in Schliemann Hall, which is directly across from this building we're standing in now on the 2nd floor. Don't ask me a room number because we don't have one. It's on the 2nd floor, just trust me. So we're located there. You can reach us by email. You can also reach us by calling the office. What we have here, you can see on the screen, are these services that we offer you as students. Some of you may never interact with us during the course of your graduate experience, and that's okay. But if you need some help, please know that we're here to assist you. What do we offer you from the Office of the Dean of Students? The Center for Advocacy, Response, and Education is our CARE office. What you will notice is that we have a lot of acronyms here at Purdue. So CARE is what they're called. If you're a person that experiences physical-based violence, this is the center that you will visit. It is my hope that you never have to visit this center, but it is there for you if you need to. We also have our Counseling and Psychological Services, or CAPS. And it is available for you as graduate students. They offer one-on-one services, they offer group services, they have student groups that you can meet with. So all of those things are available to you as a graduate student. We also have fraternity, sorority, and cooperative life. Most of you as graduate students, unless you decide to be an advisor to one of these organizations, probably won't have much interaction with them, but that's our FSCL office. We also have off-campus housing, so if you're living in a space now and you don't like it, we have a stop that will let you sort by amenities and see those things that you might like in your graduate living experience. The Recreational Wellness Center is named after our one female president that we've had at Purdue, France Cordova, and it is located on the west side of campus. They have a rock climbing wall, y'all. Haven't done it, won't do it, but it's there if you decide to do it. They also have massages. They have a lamp room, they have a financial wellness person, they have cooking classes. All of those things take place in the Recreational Wellness Center because they're not just concerned about your body, they're also concerned about all parts that make you up as a human. I will tell you the one biggest regret that I have being a graduate student when I was a graduate student back in is that I didn't use the Recreational Wellness Center as much as I should have. So make sure if that's something that you want to do, you use that opportunity while you're here. We have a student hospital on campus. It's called Purdue University Student Health Center, or PUSH as we like to call it. And I'm a very big proponent of PUSH. When I was working in biology, teaching biology many years ago, I had a student who was having headaches, and she had this headache for about 2 weeks, and I said, you know, a 2-week headache is something of an alarm for me. And so she went over to PUSH, and they were able to diagnose that she has a tumor. So I'm a very big proponent of PUSH, and I encourage people, if you're having some health issues, please check them out. Student legal services. We have an attorney on campus, but let me just put this disclaimer out there. If you're trying to sue Purdue, please don't come see our attorney. It's not a good mix of information. So if you're doing things, changing your name, having landlord issues, you can talk to this attorney. They won't go to court with you, but the attorney is there to guide you and give you information and refer you if need be. So we do have that available to you on campus. This next office, people like to think about it as the principal's office, but what I say to people is very simply this. If you follow the rules, you will never interact with this office. It is our Office of Student Rights and Responsibilities. They are the folks that you'll get to see if you are plagiarizing, if you're cheating, if you're threatening someone. So again, if you do the things you're supposed to do, you will never get to interact with those folks in the office. They're nice, but you don't want to interact with them on a regular basis, right? And then we have our student support services. That's where I spend most of my time, if you will. If you are teaching, this might be applicable to you, and it also will be applicable to you as a student. There are certain ways that you can be absent from class and be excused. There are sometimes, if you wake up with a headache, we're not going to excuse you from that, right? But if there are certain reasons you can be absent, and we'll talk about those in just a little bit. Conduct advocacy. If you ever have to go to the Office of Student Rights and Responsibilities or some other office on campus, you don't have to go alone. We can go with you as a conduct advocate. We do have an emergency loan program if you don't owe the university more than $100. So you can owe us $99.99. You can borrow $1,000 from us at a time, twice a semester for up to $2,000. So that information is available to you. On this website, there's a button called Resources. Lots of resources that are available to you, and click on that button and you can find all those resources. The last thing I want to talk about on this slide, we have a student of concern report. If you are teaching or you're working with a student and there's a change in their behavior, you can file a student of concern report. Student of concern reports are given to us because someone is concerned about that student, and we'll then reach out to that student. These are the excused absences that are allowed on campus. We have a grief absence that's based on the relationship to the decedent and where you need to travel for services. You have certain days you can be excused. Military, jury duty. I've always wanted jury duty, and they have never called me. So if any of you get jury duty, pass it off to me, because I want jury duty. And then we have a medical excuse absence policy. If you are hospitalized or if there's something that is urgent. So if you have a headache, the sniffles, that won't qualify as a medical excuse absence policy. And then we have a program that I'm just going to run through really quick called Steps to Leaps, because we want all of our students to be well-rounded. It is looking at your well-being, your leadership and professional development, the impact at Purdue, looking at your networks, so you're building big networks here, and again, looking at the grit and persistence. Because I was in graduate school, I had good days and bad days, and how I survived those good days, how I survived those bad days was thinking about the things from the good days. Again, that's my time. Hope you have a great experience here at Purdue. We are around to help you navigate the resources as much as you want to. Have a great day, Boilermakers.
Thank you, Dr. Evans. ODOS is available to you all through the year and lots of times if need, or just to explore what the facilities are here on campus for you to kind of see. With that, next up, we have Mandy Grivey from the Disability Resource Center here at Purdue.
Thank you so much. I do not have quite the energy that Dr. Evans has. I wish I could encompass some of that, especially on this Friday morning. But I am super excited today to talk through disability resource support for you within our Office of the Disability Resource Center on campus. One thing that I want to point out, I'm going to share a little bit of joint information because many of you may serve in dual roles. You're going to be students here at Purdue, but more than likely you're also going to have TA positions, which may impact your engagement with students who are also connected with our office. So one, just welcome. We are so glad that you are here today. We're so glad that you've had the chance to get connected and get settled in here in West Lafayette. Our office is located in Young Hall. How many of you know where Young Hall is yet? Okay, more of you than I expected, actually. We are located across State Street from the Memorial Union. We are in the building that I like to just refer as the glass wall. We are located on the 8th floor of that building. A lot of students actually like our location because it does offer a little bit more privacy for them. So when they're connecting with our office, they're not going into the biggest student hub on campus to come talk about accommodations. The breakdown of our office, I just want to do a quick run through of this. So there's myself, the director of the office. Generally, students don't engage with me much. I would love for them to. Feel free to always email me. However, they're usually connecting with a number of my other staff. So I have a deputy director who oversees a staff of 12. The access consultants are who you would primarily engage with. The access consultant is the student's primary contact on campus within our office. They're the person that you would be discussing potential accommodations with. If you were in a TA position and had a student with accommodations and had questions, the access consultant person is going to be the best contact for you. We also have an assistant director who oversees our alternative formats team. Purdue is really unique in that we're one of only few institutions in the country that still produce our own Braille and tactile graphics, and so within that team, they're producing that information. If as a TA or in your future, if you continue on and become a full professor here at Purdue, you will know ahead of time if you have a student who has Braille material. You'll not find out the first day of class. We also have our access and tech coordinator. This person helps ensure that we have captioning available for our students, whether that's live or static. They also help set up interpreting for our students. And then the Usable Materials Center, this is actually a resource specifically for the instructional side of things. So if you are creating content that you're hoping to produce for future students, and you want to make sure that it's accessible, our Usable Materials Center is a really great resource for that. We also have our administrative assistant, who I like to say he runs the office. He's really who gets everything done. And then we have a presence in Indianapolis as well. So inclusion is for everyone. Why am I here talking to you today? We have almost 9% of the student population engaged with our office from the 23-24 school year. People with disabilities constitute the nation's largest minority group and the only group that any of us can become a member of at any time. So we support students with all different types of disabilities, learning disabilities, ADHD, mental health. We also support students with temporary disabilities. So if you happen to get a concussion, if you break your arm, if you have to have surgery, our office may be able to offer you some temporary support while you're a student here. Students connected with our office. The DRC is for all students at all levels and all academic programs from the undergraduate to the graduate experience. Graduate accommodations may look a little bit different. You're in different programs. It may not be the traditional in-class work that you had in undergrad. It may be more hands-on experiences. It may be more practicums. It may be more labs and research opportunities. Our office can work with you to support you during those to ensure that you have access to those opportunities. You can initiate an access request at any point in our office. However, they're not retroactive. You do have to let us know that you're going to need accommodations. We cannot provide something that we don't know you need. And we also, if you wait until the end of the semester to get connected with us, you can, that's your right. However, we're not going to be able to do anything to support you for anything that's already transpired for this semester. The 23-24 school year, we had almost 4,900 students connected with our office. Faculty or staff accommodation requests go through human resources, and so you're in this really unique position where you're students, but also if you become TAs or GAs, there's some employment sides to that. We work very, very closely with our HR representatives to ensure that you get access from the student piece as well as from the instructional piece as well. So like I said, we have a large number of students with different types of disabilities. When we think of disability, usually people think of physical disabilities, someone who utilizes a wheelchair, someone that's deaf, someone that's blind. That actually makes up the lowest cohort of students connected with our office. Mental health and ADHD, learning disabilities, and chronic medical make up our largest 4 areas. And students connect with us at any point, and a number of students may come to us that have multiple disability types. And so we want to make sure that students know that it is not just certain types of disabilities, it is all types of disabilities and diagnoses that can get connected with the DRC. So how do you get connected to the Disability Resource Center? The first thing, if you go to our website, we've tried to make it as easy as possible, purdue.edu/DRC. In the very first big box on the left side of the screen says Request Accommodations, and that will take you through our process. Our accommodation process starts with you completing that accommodation request form, which you click that link, it's going to take you there. It'll ask you to share information about who you are, what your diagnosis or disability is. If you've had accommodations in the past, what were they? What accommodations you may be requesting here at Purdue. And then if you have any documentation, to also include that. Documentation can also include, if you received accommodations in your undergraduate experience, submitting information from your undergrad that verifies what accommodations you had in those spaces. Once you've done that, you would be contacted by an access consultant to your Purdue email. Unfortunately, we can only email to your Purdue email account, so make sure that you're already checking that if you're not already. And during that time, you're going to be having an initial meeting with the access consultant. You're going to talk through that documentation that you submitted if you were able to, and talk through the accommodations that may be appropriate for you. Additionally, you would release your course accommodation letter to your instructor through an online portal. It is extremely easy to do that, and we would talk through that entire process. So how are accommodations determined? Through the meeting with the student, we're gathering the background information, we're reviewing any additional documentation, we're determining what types of barriers may exist. It is case by case, so what one student needs may be different from what another student needs. We're reviewing the impact, duration, and frequency, and then the reasonableness of the accommodation request. We do provide more than just academic accommodations. So we do provide accommodations within dining, housing, parking, the social aspect. If you're involved in a graduate student organization and you need access to accommodations to engage with that, our office would be the best place to start. We use an access model here at Purdue, which is more about access to the opportunity versus a medical model. Self-advocacy is key within this. We have to know the student needs accommodations. You do have to start that process. The accommodation information is provided by you, and it's supported by the Americans with Disabilities Act and Section 504. How do you support students with disabilities? So if you are becoming a TA, asking questions about how a student thinks, learns, and engages. That would be best practice for any student though. But as you're trying to figure out what types of resources or how to engage with a student question, knowing this information can be helpful. If a student discloses to you that they have a disability, you would as a TA or a GA have a responsibility to refer them to our office. Mirror and modeling language. So some people use, I'm an autistic person, I'm a person with autism. Mirroring the language that you're using or that your peers are using when you're engaging with them can be helpful. Don't promise certain accommodations. Our office will help determine reasonable accommodations, and while it may be let's get you connected with the DRC, please don't tell students, I think that they'll provide you with this accommodation. Connect with our office if you have any questions or concerns. And then also let your friends know, let students know that you will be keeping that information private and that would only share it with anyone that has a legitimate need to know. If you go to this QR code, you can actually post questions in there. You can post some information, and I will make sure that we get a response to you with questions. We will also have a presence at the resource fair later today, and so one of my colleagues who actually just finished graduate work at UNC, she will be there and will be happy to answer any questions that you might have. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Mandy Gravy, for about the DRC. Up next, we have Tiffany Botsford-Samuels from CARE talking about the resources of advocacy that we have here on campus.
Good morning, everybody. I also am not as enthusiastic as Dr. Evans, but I will do my darndest for you all. Like I was introduced, my name is Tiffany Botsford-Samuels. I'm used to walking when I talk, so I gotta stay still. My name is Tiffany Botsford-Samuels, and I'm the Assistant Director for CARE, also known as the Center for Advocacy, Response, and Education. Quick overview is we provide free and confidential services to students who have been impacted by interpersonal violence, sexual assault, stalking, harassment, sexual exploitation on campus. We make sure that they can get to the right resources or get to either it's university reporting, maybe it's law enforcement reporting, maybe they need a medical care because they've been impacted by physical violence or sexual assault. We help them get connected to other resources like CAPS, the DRC, ODOS, whatever it happens to be here on campus. We also help with off-campus resources as well, such as protective orders through the court system, if there's lawyer visits, or if there's other things that are happening outside of the university that we can help provide support for, we will. We are located in Dumey Hall, which is part of Windsor Residence Hall. I know grad students aren't in that area, so we are always happy to provide support to a student trying to find our office. We are 8 to 5, Monday through Friday. And then the other big thing that we also have is we have a 24/7 hotline that students can call outside of office hours that will go to a hub, and that hub will then get in contact with us should you need support outside of those hours. These are some of the referrals that we have that we make on campus and in the community. So I've mentioned some of them already. Our friends over at PUSH, IU Arnett, St. Franciscan, our reporting offices through OIE, or the Office of Institutional Equity, law enforcement, the multiple ones that we have here in the community, mental health resources, and legal services as well. Some of the prevention education that we provide, so one part of my job is advocacy. If a student comes to me and they need support, I'm happy to provide that. The other part of my job is going onto campus and providing education on some of the things that are going on in our community and nationally. So we have several campaigns that we do throughout the semester. Right now we're in what is called the Red Zone. It's between move-in and about Thanksgiving break, where it's a national statistic where over 50% of sexual assaults will occur that happen on a college campus. And we have sober tailgating, we have tabling events, we have open education out for students to learn some preventative ways to take care of themselves and also ways to not cause harm to others. In October, we have Domestic Violence Awareness Month. November, we're gearing up for Men's Engagement. January is Stalking Awareness Month. February is Healthy Relationships. And April, we have Sexual Assault Awareness Month. We have several workshops that we offer for students, so any student organization or group of students can request that, and I'm happy to come out and talk with anybody. I also do custom workshops, so anything that's on the screen or anything that's on our website, if it's like, well, that kind of fits, but not super, talk to me. I'm happy to come up with a custom one. Today's actually is kind of custom based on the needs of you guys. And then we have action toolkits that we've also established here on campus. It allows you to take the information back to your organization and have those open conversations and discussions and ways to move forward in a more positive way. How can we end sexual violence and interpersonal violence on Purdue's campus? We have an educational ambassador program. So these are our volunteers that help out with our workshops, with our tabling, with our outreach events that we do on campus. Grad students are part of that. We've worked with several grad student educational ambassadors in our CARE program, and they're so wonderful to work with because they are in a unique situation. They are both student and researcher or TA or just have a different experience than what maybe some of our undergrads do. So if this is work that you're passionate about and you want to help be involved, get a hold of me and I'm happy to make that connection for you. One of the things that I wanted to chat about, that I was asked to chat about today, was since you're in that unique position that you're both a student and TA slash researcher, you are going to be working with other students. And these are some signs that a student might be in distress. You might see a decline in their academic performance or even their attendance in class. You might see maybe they're not participating in class the way they did that first or second week of classes. Maybe they're missing class like chunks at a time and they're just not as attentive as when they were. Any sort of low mood, isolation, depression, anxiety. A lot of these symptoms come up because school can be stressful, but anything prolonged is always worth asking, hey, I've noticed some things. Is there anything I can do to be supportive? You can always send a student our way and we can help chat about things in a confidential manner as well. If there are other signs and symptoms and you're just concerned about a student, you can always reach out to our office and be like, I'm seeing some of these things, what could that mean for my student? And I'm happy to process through what that might look like for you. This is just an overview slide of all of the things that we offer, our confidential resources, the way we provide resources and support to students who've been impacted either directly or indirectly by interpersonal violence. So one of the other things that some students come to me to talk about is, hey, my friend is going through this thing, you know, they've been assaulted, they've been in an abusive relationship, and I'm having a hard time. We can support you as well. We know that when bad things happen to our loved ones, that's hard, and that's like a huge impact on ourselves, our well-being. So we want to support you in the best way to support them. If there are any questions, I will be at the table this mornings with one of my colleagues to answer any of the questions you might have or talk about anything that would be important for you. Thank you all.
Thank you, Tiffany. If there's one thing I can tell you about grad school, it's gonna get hard a little bit moving into the semester and stuff. So never hesitate to ask for help, and especially using these resources. So with that, we would like to thank the Purdue Federal Credit Union for sponsoring this event and being here and joining us here today. There's a short video for all of us to watch right now.
Hi, I'm Bob Falk, President and CEO of Purdue Federal Credit Union. We share a vision with Purdue University on trying to prepare people for the future. You're on campus going to grad school, trying to grow your skills as an individual. We're here on campus as well, trying to grow your money management skills and your financial skills in life. So we share this great vision to try to prepare you for life in the future. You're taking a great step in coming to grad school. We want to make sure you continue to prepare yourself for everything in life. So we're here as well with you. Happy to help you with anything you can on money management skills. So stop by and see us sometime. Hi, I'm Bob.
Well, that was the Purdue Federal Credit Union, and they are the sponsors of this event today. With that, we'll be moving on to the Purdue Graduate Student Government here to talk to you about graduate student life and traditions. We have half of our executive board here today and a lot of our team members here in the audience, and you'll meet more of us at the resource fair. With that, the Purdue Graduate Student Government e-board, if you could step on stage. Well, more of our team members wanted to be here, but they got wiped out by COVID. So do be careful, there is a spread happening around campus. This is the Purdue Graduate Student Government. And with that, we would like to welcome all of you Boilermakers to here on campus. We have two of our known monuments on campus, which is the entrance as well as the bell tower. Do any of you want to talk about the bell tower?
Yeah, sure. So the local lore here is that if you walk under the bell tower, you won't graduate in time. So this is like a superstition. So if you don't want to graduate late, don't walk under the bell tower. Once you graduate, you're allowed to walk.
I've heard this is true, so be careful with that.
So, quick audience participation. Does anyone know who our mascot is? See, you would think so, but actually, our mascot is the Boilermaker Special. But since carrying a train around to different sporting events is a little bit impractical, we have Purdue Pete to stand in for the Boilermakers Special. You might be wondering why we're called Boilermakers. This is apocryphal, I guess, but what I've heard is that we beat a different college in a football game, and the local newspapers referred to the Purdue football team members as Boilermakers, since they were so strong and good that they
They defeated them in the match, so we are the stronger ones.
yeah, and they accused us of basically recruiting Boilermakers, people who work in the local train yard to play football for us, which was not the case, but.
We also have the unfinished P, which is here on campus, which sort of signifies the work in progress that we all are. And even after you graduate, the fact that learning continues, that is on the rightmost side, the unfinished P, which you'll see behind the Stewart Center and right before the PMU. With that, over to you, Alex.
So you might be wondering, what is the Purdue Graduate Student Government, or PGSG for short? So we are essentially the advocate for graduate students, and we are dedicated to represent concerns of graduate students. So this is like our official mission, but essentially what we do is make sure that your voices are heard and represented.
Absolutely.
So this is what we stand for, basically. We do a bunch of social events. We are comprised of 5 different teams who all focus on different aspects of graduate student life. This is our Graduate Student Center. So if you haven't seen this, it's across the street on Northwestern Avenue, which is vaguely that way. This is a really cool center. There's little couches, there's like an Xbox you can borrow. It's a good time.
Oh, thank you, Alex. Praga, do you have anything to say about the PGSC?
Oh yeah, of course. We have VR headsets, we have kayaks, we have free coffee. Please do stop by. It's a super cool space, and we have a lounge there if you want to work in silence. And what about the teams?
Yeah, we need
We
to
need
know.
to talk about the teams.
Yep.
So within the PGSG, we have a bunch of teams which you guys could be a part of. Starting off with Live Team, we organize fun events throughout the campus, both here in West Lafayette and in Indy. We book out cinema theaters, and it's just for grad students. We have coffee corners, football tailgating, all the fun stuff. So,
Yeah,
career team.
The career team chair is out with COVID, so I will talk about what the activities of that team are, which are networking, professional development events, and things like that they host throughout the year. If you are interested in being more involved with them, we do encourage you to attend our call out, details of which will be shared in a bit. With that, the community team.
So I am the community team chair. So basically we are the bridge between the school and also the community, which means we host events where you could interact with the community, like one of them being winterization, which is a upcoming event sometime in October and November, where you can help clean out the gardens and prepare the homes for those in need for the winter. And then we also have something called as a Wabash landing cleaning, where we clean up the river to prepare it for the spring. We also host events for the school body, where something like the Mental Health Action Week conducted once in every semester to prioritize your mental health needs and also to promote CAPS. So yeah, that is about.
Thank you, Sindhu. With that, we have the diversity team.
Hi, everyone. I'm the diversity team chair. We actively work with CARE, CAPS, and cultural centers on campus to ensure an inclusive and respectful environment for everyone on campus.
Thank you, diversity team. We also have the Grant Review and Allocation Committee, the chair of which is also out with COVID. But what we do offer from that is about $750 and $500 grants for traveling to conferences to present your research, or for professional development events if you want to hone your skills in different ways, as well as housing grants for in-between transitions, things like that. More details on our website. And with that, we are moving on to the Public Relations Committee.
Hi everyone, my name is Shalom and I'm the Public Relations Officer of PGSG. So the Public Relations Committee is responsible for promoting PGSG and its activities to the Graduate Student Committee. So we manage the website, social media, and newsletters, and I'll be flooding you with a lot of emails very soon. So we also create promotional materials, handle event publicity, but we also serve as the voice of PGSG. So getting involved is very easy. You can start by visiting our stands, stand 31 and 32, at the resource fair happening right after this session. You could also come to our call-out on August 28th at the Purdue Graduate Student Center. You could just, yes, it's right here. So you will meet other graduate students, know much more about what we do and the issues we are addressing. PGSG advocates for your needs. We also plan events that bring graduate students together, but we equally work to improve the quality of life of graduate students. So if you want a leadership role or you want to be more involved with PGSG, I invite you to attend our call-out. Thank you so much.
Before we go on to talking about the Purdue resources here on campus, one thing that I do want to tell you all of Purdue West Lafayette as well as Purdue West Lafayette in Indianapolis, to be a member of PGSG, there is only one requirement, and that is to be a grad student here on Purdue West Lafayette or the Indianapolis campus. So by default, by saying yes and joining the Purdue community, you have become a member of PGSG. With that, we'll talk about some of the resources.
So Purdue has a lot to offer. Don't mind me as I take a look at this list because, yeah, that stands for how much we have to offer. So to start with the Purdue University Student Health Center, which is the center that caters to your medical and emergency needs here on the campus. They also offer psychological services through CAPS. And then we have the Purdue International Students Center, which is dedicated to support your academic, cultural, and sociological needs, and they expertise in the immigration laws. So if you're an international student, that is where you head to. Then we have the ACE Food Pantry System, which is present in the 504 Northwestern Avenue, and their motto is to make food supply accessible to graduate students. So do drop by if you want to check out their food pantry. Then we have the most famous Purdue Wellness and Recreational Facility, also known as the COREC, which is a state-of-the-art facilities with its 2 giant swimming pools and every equipment to meet your fitness goals and also your recreational goals. Then moving on to Purdue Student Legal Services, who offer assistance in variety of legal matters, including any landlord, tenant issues, or notary issues, or traffic tickets, any of the legal issues that you have, that is where you head to. Then we have CARE. They offer free and confidential advocacies related to if you're facing any interpersonal violence or sexual exploitations. They are your friends in need. Then we finally have the DACA at Purdue Services, who provide resources for DACA and undocumented students enrolled at Purdue and also for prospective students.
There are many diversity resources on campus, including cultural centers and disability resource center, and I encourage you to take advantage of these resources while you're a student at Purdue.
So that was what Purdue had to offer, and Greater Lafayette, the West Lafayette, and the Lafayette communities also have very much to show you around. I'm just going to name a few, like the Wabash Landing 9, which is one of the theaters that we have, which is closest to the campus. So that is a great spot, and Life Team usually conducts movie nights at there for all the graduate students. And then we have the famous farmers market right now active for the summer. So there are 3 locations where they're active. They are active on Thursday from around 11 a.m. to 2 p.m. in the Memorial Mall. And then there is also a farmers market in Lafayette every Saturdays at around 8 a.m. And in the West Lafayette, the farmers market are from 3:30 to 7:30 p.m. And if you are a nature lover, Lafayette has great hiking and picnic spots where you can head to the Prophetstown State Park, Celery Bog, Wolf Park, or Happy Hollow Park. Yeah.
Yes, so we have many resources for you. You could follow our website or just check your website from time to time, because that's where we put on announcements and everything you need as a graduate student. So here are some of the websites you can just visit. And for Instagram accounts, the first one I recommend for all of you as new graduate students is the PGSG Info. That's our official Instagram account, and it cuts across. On LinkedIn, it's still PGSG Info. On Facebook, also PGSG Info. Hello Downtown, so if you like fun, you want to just know what's happening in town, you can also follow Hello Downtown. And Living Lafayette, Historical Lafayette Farmers Market, as Sindhu has spoken about, Greater Lafayette, and yes, that'll be all.
We have a video now from the Purdue Graduate Student Government talking more about us, if you have not heard enough already.
Hi, my name is Christopher Barber.
Ralph Rivera, Ajay Shah,
McGavin. Fan Wu.
Student government is really important because graduate students play a really pivotal role in the Purdue community.
PGSG is a wonderful opportunity to create dialogue and to share knowledge.
So I've been working with the Life team. They're the event planning committee for PGSG. I think people get too involved with some of the stuff that they have to be involved with. So I like making events so people can get out of their office, get out of their dorm, and meet some new people.
I decided to join PGSG because I felt this is where grad students get their voices heard the most, because you essentially set agenda and talking points for the University Senate that then gets discussed among the faculty and influential members at Purdue.
You know, we are from different backgrounds, different departments, but we have only one mission, that we want the graduate students in our university could get a better life.
I encourage anyone who's interested to join because it spans across the whole university. One of the great things about the graduate student government is having access to people in different departments and being able to work collaboratively with them to solve some of the challenges we all face in grad school.
So we always looking for fresh ideas and new perspectives. Therefore, I will encourage you to join us. Just take the first step, reach out to us, get connected, and be a part of an organization that's making a positive impact on our campus. Thank you.
Thank you, team. We have some events which include, like, every Saturday our literature club, which reads a book and you get free boba. There's also our call out on 28. Do attend that. More information in our on the tabling event. With that, we'll be moving on to our graduate student panel. So with that, thank you to all of you for being here. With that, I invite the panelists up here. And if you could all introduce yourselves, moving from the right-hand side all the way to the left.
Okay. My name is David. I am a second year in Pulse. And
My name is Antonio. I am a fourth year PhD candidate now in mechanical engineering.
Hello, my name is Olivia Reyes. I'm a PhD candidate in human development and family science, and I'm also a fourth year here at Purdue University.
My name is Amy LaVisca. My pronouns are they, them. I am a fifth year PhD candidate in human development and family science.
Thank you very much for being here. We have some questions that we're going to be asking our panelists, and let's see what they have to say for us. So the first question is to Amy. What is day-to-day life like as a first-year grad student?
In some ways, it's going to be really similar to what you do during undergrad. You're going to be taking courses to learn the basics of your field. But there's also going to be quite a bit of undirected or unguided work that you're going to be expected to do. This includes creating new independent projects, learning how to interact with your advisor, but also trying to figure out how to get involved in your department. A lot of departments have some service requirements, whether that be getting involved with like PGSG or doing something for your own department. So while there might be some similar aspects to your undergrad life, there's going to be quite a bit more that is expected of you.
Thank you for that. Our next question is for David. What is it like to transition from undergrad to grad?
I'd say, from my experience, I'd say it's a little bit more, there's more freedom in grad school because you are at less credit hours, but say, depending on the expectations. Like for me, I was expected to rotate in labs for my first year, so I had more freedom as opposed to a student that would just jump right into a lab if they were direct admit.
That's a good point. The next question is for Antonio. How did you choose your advisor, and what is your relationship like?
So when I was applying to grad school and I was choosing between the options that I had, I was able to hold multiple Zoom meetings with potential advisors. And with my current advisor now, I realized that I was able to be myself during the meetings. I was not nervous or intimidated by her, and so that was a huge plus for me. And I realized that from there, the relationship was probably going to get better, and I was right. My relationship has been getting better, and yeah, I really cannot think of a better advisor that I could have chosen.
Thank you. That's very pertinent. The next question is for Olivia. How do you balance your personal life with the demands of grad school?
My answer to this is that it varies. My first 2 years that I was here at Purdue, I was a part of a 4-year longitudinal project. And as graduate students, everyone knows how demanding research can be. So it was a lot to manage my personal life, schoolwork on top of research. And I really struggled my first 2 years being here as a graduate student. And ultimately, it all, caught up with me in the end of my second year. And I kind of had to take a moment to really reevaluate how I was operating as a graduate student, and I had to really put myself first. In order to be a successful graduate student, you need to put yourself first, thinking of your own mental health, your physical health, and really taking care of yourself. So for me, in order to put my personal life more in the forefront as a graduate student, I made a lot of changes in my life personally. So I had to switch labs. I started seeing a therapist more often. I have 2 dogs that I love very much, and they help me take breaks when I'm doing a lot of research work or just schoolwork, and that's really helped reformat my life to be more about taking care of myself, but also making sure that I'm the most capable person that I can be, and that has ultimately led to a lot of growth for me as a person, but also as a graduate student, and I would say that's been the most successful thing that I've done so far.
That is a very fair point. With that, the next question is for Amy. What strategies or resources do you find most helpful in managing your time and workload effectively?
If you don't have one already, getting an online calendar has been really useful for me. So whether you're using Outlook, which Purdue offers, using a Google Calendar, being able to see what you're expected for your week at a glance, but also being able to put in deadlines that you have coming up has been incredibly useful. And also, a lot of graduate school is unstructured. You might have your classes, but there's these expectations that you will be self-driven, and that can be really difficult if you're not giving yourself deadlines. If you're anything like me, you don't really think about something until a week before it's due or the night before it's due. So giving yourself some artificial deadlines on that calendar is really helpful to keep you on track.
That is true. Structure is important in grad school, enforcing it on yourself especially. The next question is for David. Are there any professional development opportunities for grad students in their first year?
So there is a website on the grad student or the graduate school that has a whole list of workshops spanning from all different aspects of professional development. And along with that, I do know GSOs as well also put on professional development, but that's more geared towards your specific discipline.
Perfect. The next question is for Antonio. How do you make sure your schedule will ensure you graduate in 4 years and find a job afterwards? Is there a degree roadmap?
I don't think there is a roadmap. Every degree is different, and even within your department, every single student that graduates is going to have a different path. But some things that you can look for is if you have milestones like preliminary qualifying exams, make sure that you understand what those are, and so that you're ready and prepared to take those and get rid of them as soon as you can. Some departments ask for a plan of study to make sure that you understand what type of classes you need to take, and to keep track of what your process is going to look like. And as far as getting a job, I guess get back to me next year when I have that answer. But I would say just look at people in your department, and even outside of the department in your field, and see what they're doing, what type of skills they have when they go out to the industry or academia, and maybe you get some inspiration there.
Perfect, thank you. The next question is for Olivia. How have your expectations of the PhD program compared to reality?
So when I first started my PhD program, I thought things were going to go much faster than I was expecting. I thought when I got into my graduate program that I was going to hit the ground running that I was going to have 5 papers by the time I was a 4th year, that I was going to have so many conference presentations and just really get the most out of my degree. The reality is that research is much slower than you're expecting. IRB takes time. It takes time to get accepted to a journal for a paper. It takes time to present research at conferences, and you just have to pace yourself and understand that the research process takes time in order to not only be effective as a researcher, but also as a human being. Like, we can't push ourselves and not expect to burn out. So that's something that I wasn't expecting when I got to graduate school, but I did learn was the reality of being a graduate student. And secondly, just being a self-advocate for yourself is really important as a graduate student. I didn't expect to have to carve out my path like Antonio and Amy were talking about. I didn't expect that I had to be the one to tell my mentors and my advisors how to get what I wanted. But being a self-advocate is a great skill that you develop as a graduate student, and it's gonna take you the farthest to be able to speak and ask for what it is that you want out of your experience as a graduate student post-graduation.
Absolutely. The next question is for Amy. There is a lot less guidance as a grad student. Who do you go to for help with, for example, course registrations?
A lot of departments should have a graduate student coordinator. This is a staff member who is meant to make sure that you're staying on track, helping you register for courses, and making sure that you're meeting the milestones. But that person's only really going to help you with administration. There's a lot of unwritten down information that older graduate students have. So really start connecting with your upperclassmen, as they have a wealth of knowledge about the intricacies of your department. You're also able to go to quite a few of the graduate student organizations. Some might have graduate student organizations in your department, or you might engage with Purdue's PGSG. Those also have a wealth of information on how to get through your program or how to be successful as a graduate student. So if you have questions on admin or on day-to-day life, there's going to be different people you would go to.
That's fair. The next question is for David. How do you find out about clubs that you can join around campus?
Should be like club fairs that go on. I know like there's a ton of stuff you can find that's both like for grad students and undergrads. Like a good example is I wanted to do martial arts, so I went to, there was I don't remember what it was called, but during the summer they have like a gigantic club fair that's held by the COREC, and I got to check out and start to learn Muay Thai, which is a lot of fun.
Yeah, no, thank you for that. And I think Boiler Link, which all of you should have access to, is one of the other resources where you can go and type out if you're looking for a particular club. The next question is for Antonio. How did you find a good research direction?
So I was lucky to jump into a project my first year that had very clear research goals. So it was basically, we need to get there, find a way to get there. If you're in that position, that's great for you, especially in your first year. It's going to make it easier. As you move forward, in my second year, third year, I had to find my own research directions. But by then, I was already familiar with my field. I had read, a lot of papers, and so I was able to have some sort of feeling of what I thought was cool to do. And so, I think it's unrealistic to think that you're just going to come to grad school with a great idea, breaking the field and stuff like that. Just be patient with yourself and read a lot of papers, and something cool should come out of there.
I know. That is so many of our paths here. Next question is for Olivia. What is your best advice for a new student coming from a different university?
So I'm originally from Oxnard, California, so I was not a Hoosier. Everything about Indiana was very new and different for me, and I was very nervous about coming here personally. When I first came to Purdue, I had another graduate student tell me, Indiana isn't going to be like your home. It's very different. You're going to have new experiences, meet new people, and in order to not be miserable and continuously compare it to where you were before, you really have to be open to new experiences. You have to be open to the new connections that you're going to make, and really be open to what Indiana has to offer and Purdue has to offer to you to make the most of your experience. And so that was really important for me to hear my first year, and I've really taken that in stride. I've taken advantage of going to clubs and taking advantage of the cultural centers here. For me, a sense of belonging was really important for me as, you know, a person of color. And I really wanted to make sure that I had a sense of community here at Purdue in order to make me feel like this could be my place for the next 4 or 5 years. And so really making sure that you're carving out your space here and knowing that you belong here in this space, and just being open to new experiences and trying new things while you're here is very important.
That is a very good point. Our next question is for Amy. How do you resolve work expectation-related conflicts between the advisor and student?
I find that talking about expectations at the beginning is the best way to avoid conflict later on. So in your first meeting that you have with your advisor, discuss expectations of when they want things due, how they want things communicated to you, and then be open to continually having that conversation. I know it can be really scary to talk to somebody who you feel has so much more power over you and your path, but your advisor should be there to work with you and be open to discussing with you. So if you have vacations you want to take, or you are getting stressed, communicating kind of your bandwidth that you have to work and what is reasonable expectations is going to be really important, not only in your first year, but for every year that you're here in grad school.
Thank you. Next question is for Antonio. What is the best way to meet other graduate students and make friends?
I guess the first route for you is to try to make friendships in your lab with your lab mates, your coworkers. You know, you're going to be spending a lot of time with them, so if you get along with them, that's great. If that's not the case and it's just a coworker relationship, it's also totally fine. What has worked for me is my department graduate student association. We do great things with social events and professional opportunities, so that's a way to meet people. And then also internally through institutions like ICON that deals with controls optimization networking. Is basically just like multidisciplinary institutes that allow you to meet people from some other departments, and you can make friendships that way too.
Thank you for that, Antonio, and thank you to all our panelists. That was our last question for today. So we appreciate your time being here and sharing these insights with everyone here. In conclusion, I would like to tell you all that your experience here is going to be unique. It's going to be unique to you, so feel free to carve it out in any way you deem fit, and do not compare yourselves with anyone else out there. With that, our next bit of today is going to be at the PMU North and South ballrooms. That's the building on the left-hand side. We have our resource fair that should have started 5 minutes ago. But if you would like to head there right now, that's where you'll have refreshments and tabling events with a lot of orgs and resources here on campus talking about it. Thank you so much.